This camera has been in my family since like 2004, and it carried pretty much all of my childhood and adolescent memories. I lost the charger and batteries years ago, and back then it took like, submitting a request to get a replacement via carrier pigeon, and then you had to pick it up at a P.O. box in like Indonesia, so I didn't have time for that. So I haven't been able to turn it on in like 15 years until recently. I found the exact charger on Amazon Prime and I ordered it. Oh my god. This sound of rewinding just lives on in my head forever. There I am in all my glory. What's weird is the last time I turned this on was the last time I recorded something, which means whatever tape was inside of this camera contained the final shot that I ever took. The shot wasn't anything special, it was just my friend George driving away in his old beat-up car. But it struck me, because as insignificant as that moment seemed, it unknowingly captured the end of my childhood and teen years. Watching him drive away, it broke my heart, because I had no idea it was going to be the last shot. There's a last time for everything, but usually I don't know when that's happening. A lot has changed since I last recorded on this, I graduated college, worked a bunch of crappy jobs, made new friends, lost old ones, faced lows in addiction, got sober, joined a band, lived in 3 different cities, my brother passed away, and my family moved out of our childhood home, the one with all the memories of him in there, and a new family lives there. In a lot of ways, I hadn't really fully processed all that had happened, which is why when my dad called me and told me that my childhood home was empty again,
that family moved out of our house.
Really? I jumped at the chance to go back and just see if there was anything there that needed revisiting or needed healing. On the way there, I thought about the aftermath of my brother's passing, how I bulldozed my way through the pain. He passed the day after I got home for Christmas break in 2017, which, as messed up as it was, the timing was pretty good because I had 5 weeks before I had to return to college. And I remember sitting down in my first class after I returned from break, after my brother had passed, and someone turned to me and asked, "How was your break?" And I thought, well, do I tell them? Do I say the real thing? But I didn't want their face to change, I didn't want the room to go quiet. So I just said, it was good. And in that moment, I made the decision without meaning to, that I wouldn't tell anyone. It just felt safer, If no one knew, then my life could feel normal. And even if it was just pretend, I wouldn't have to watch them not know what to say. Kinda like it when you tell me, I wish I knew my... When I got to my childhood home, I expected some emotional wave to hit me. All right, we're walking in. It's been a while since I've been in here, but this is where a lot of our familyhood memories would happen. This is where the kitchen was. This is where the table where we'd have dinner was. I wonder if it's still up there. When I was a kid with my buddy Evan, we would always write our names places, like random places around the house. Man, I don't know how my mom never got pissed at us for this. This is like the kitchen, vandalizing it. The space just feels so different. I feel like I see the silhouettes of us, the outlines of where we were and what we used to do, how we used to hang out with my friends and my brother and my family, my sister. And I remember, this is our closet right here. My mom put a bunch of books in here. I remember she told me, she was like, "I'm gonna build a library in the house." And I was like in 2nd grade. And I thought she meant there was gonna be this whole separate room. And I came home and it was just like books in my closet. And I was like, oh. I pictured something so much bigger in my head. And I remember when my brother moved away to college, I was still in high school. And this used to be his bedroom and it became my bedroom. Everything that was his became mine. It was all hand-me-down. Except eventually I got old enough to wear his clothes. And then it was more like theft than hand-me-down. I started just taking his sweaters. That's one of the things I miss the most about him, is like stuff that annoys you in life becomes the thing you miss when that person is gone. And one of those things is like, where's my sweater? Where are my sweaters? Where are my underpants? The basement always scared the crap out of me coming down here alone. There would just always be beer cans in the ceiling and there was like this place where all the ashes to like the fireplace would come down in this little collection place in here, which is terrifying. And I'd always open this up because I was curious about it as a kid, and it was filled with beer cans and cigarettes and roaches and stuff. I don't know, I guess I built this up in my head, like I was gonna feel more. But if anything, coming back to this house, I just feel gratitude and grateful for all the memories that I made here. But I feel like I've grown in a lot of ways. While I'm always gonna miss this house and the memories that were made, the big hurdle and the upheaval of rotting nostalgia that was living within me is behind me. I'm glad about that. I soaked in as much as I could, and eventually it was time to go. Afterwards, I went to go meet up with my band for a writing session. We've been working on a song and a music video about this very topic, you know, grieving, loss, partially around the feelings of losing my brother. And to be honest, opening up to these guys, it hasn't been easy. You know, with all my instincts to hide and carry shame, letting them in, especially while writing this song about my brother, it's been painful. It's such a personal and specific loss, and I didn't know how to share that. But going home and looking through old videos made me realize that I'm not just writing about mourning my brother, I'm writing about mourning my entire childhood and the certainty that came with it and the pain of isolating as a result. And that's something that I think anybody could relate to. The rest of the weekend we had a total blast. We recorded drums. God, dude, God.
I got it.
That
Okay.
seemed difficult.
No, I got it.
Don't tell him that.
You're not supposed to tell him that.
All right. That bounces. What you laughing at, boy? We watched movies.
It'd be great to be that guy.
I would love it, dude.
And would somebody please get me a goddamn fan?
We crashed a car. Literally.
Did you get that on camera?
I did, yeah.
Wait, me hitting the car?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I learned through losing my brother and saying goodbye to old friends and struggling that I didn't know how, why, or when to ask for help. I didn't know how to lean on others. But with these guys, I'm starting to learn how, because when you're in a band, communication, disagreements, difficult conversations, they're inevitable. And I'm realizing that the parts that I find so unacceptable are the parts that make me human, are the parts that make me easier to connect with. When I got home, it was all about finalizing the song. We started with a scratch demo that I just took on a voice memo. You can hear I'm still searching for the lyrics, but they're coming. But it really all began with that piano motif. Just sounds like a memory. The lyrics in the chorus revolve around the confusing feeling of envy I felt for my brother after he passed. And when he died, I was so heartbroken. I was almost jealous of the dead because, as far as I know, he was free of all this pain. I felt like I was left here to die. I was left here to feel it all. Another thing about the lyrics is we grew up spitting distance from this sort of small town amusement park called Huffman's Playland. That was a place we would go all the time, and that started bleeding into the lyrics as well. So between the piano motif, the grief, the old childhood memories and hangouts, the song really started to come together. And once we had a working demo, we spent one of the hottest, sweatiest summer days ever recording a music video for it. We shot some of it at my old house, and then we shot some of it at that amusement park, which had since been sold and relocated. The new owner graciously allowed us to film there. Finally, we released the song, and it's called Carousel. It felt really relieving and great to get this song out there. You know, it meant holding my pain out for others to see, especially my band. So thank you guys so much for watching. And by the way, I did end up turning this camera on once again to rewatch that final shot I got so many years ago. And while it still makes me sad, I decided to hit record once again you get a new shot.